Yeah, so this is actually episode 21 of our Congrats podcast, which officially means we're part of the
Top 1%.
top 1% of all podcasts. Yeah!
Congrats.
Let's go!
Up top. Oh, let's go, Jumbo.
Yeah, we got actually got a dog cheering us on right now.
All right, so Eddie,
So right now, let's
no.
let's reflect a little bit.
Let's reflect just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of the point of today's episode is
Yeah.
lessons that we wish we could tell our younger selves.
Yeah.
And so to reflect on the past, when we were first creating this podcast, we saw how kind of easy it was to quote unquote become somewhat successful.
Yeah.
Because there was a statistic that I heard from Chris Williamson, who is one of the most famous podcast hosts out there. He was saying that to become in the top 1% of podcasts, all you need to do is just create 21 videos because something like 90% of people stop their podcast after the first 2 episodes. 95% of people stop after the 10th, and 99 stop out after the 20th.
Yeah.
So we've made it to the 21st, meaning that we are in the top 1% of podcasts. So let's fucking go, Eddie.
And it hasn't really been hard at all. It's been pretty easy.
Yeah, been pretty easy. It's just consistency.
Yeah. All it is just us holding ourselves accountable, holding each other accountable. And
Exactly.
posting.
And I think that brings us into the first lesson that I wish I told my younger self is to stay consistent.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know this, but when it comes to new opportunities, there's so many new opportunities, especially now in this day and age of like business, making money, whatever, where I always see the woman in the red dress, right, from the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
You know that analogy that from Alex Mosey. I think we've
talked about it.
Yeah, we've talked. Yeah. Shiny object syndrome, where I keep hopping from new opportunity to new opportunity, and the thing about it is that what I used to think was that, oh, this new thing that my friend is doing and is making X dollars amount per week is going to make me rich, right? But the reality of it is that he didn't tell me how much work he put in, and I'm going to have to put in the same work that I'm going to put into any other opportunity. And so the thing that I got out of that was that really anything can work. It's just amount the amount of time and consistency that you put into it, and just grind and pay off that ignorance instead of you not knowing the knowledge of what you need to have to be successful in that certain avenue. So all it is if you just pick one opportunity, or all you need to do is just pick one opportunity, stick to it and stay consistent, and eventually you will catch up and become successful and be the best.
I mean, I think that probably be said to be true, but all depends on where you're putting your consistency. Because if you're putting consistency into like a shrinking market, you're probably
obviously there's certain obviously, but if everything kind of looks the same on the outside, where it's like also a growing market, whatever, all it is just a matter of staying consistent.
So I would say it can be a mix of both. Finding a good opportunity first, and then putting the consistency towards that.
Instead of hopping from one good opportunity to the next, you will never become great in any of those opportunities. What's that saying?
I don't know, but what I was thinking, it's like what you would do is you would have a bunch of glasses where you're trying to fill them up with water, but you would just barely fill them up with water. You just get like a tenth of a glass full, and then you say,
I know what analogy you're trying to
oh no, this glass of water is never ever going to fill up.
Yeah.
And then you decided to get all of that water from all those different glasses and pour it into one. Yeah. And now you're still filling it.
I think the analogy that you're trying to make is also another thing that I wish I told myself earlier was that you always hear people saying that most millionaires have 7 different income streams, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is that yes, they do, but the way they got there, they didn't. The way they got there, they focused on one thing heavily and just put all their time and attention towards that instead of starting multiple different things. Because like I said earlier, every single one of them can work. It's just a matter of putting your time and attention towards one thing and focusing on one thing and having one thing being your priority and just absolutely focusing and grinding that out. And then once that, like your analogy said, once that glass starts overflowing of capital or whatever, then you start diversifying your assets and stuff like that once you become successful because you don't I heard this quote, I forget where it's from, but you don't gain wealth or you gain wealth by taking a big amount of risk with a small amount of money or like something like that, but you keep your wealth by taking a really really low amount of risk with a big amount of money.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that just kind of works hand in hand with that. And so just stay consistent and focus on one thing.
Yeah, that definitely leads to like noticing opportunities, especially when people are like first budding entrepreneurs. Me and you can both relate to this. Like, want to become a trader with limited capital, and have that as almost like passive income and use that as an invest, which is good. You probably should invest your money growing up, but trying to completely focus on that without making your first initial business. Not saying I've really made like a substantial business, but it just you'll kind of just be spinning your wheels, but not really going anywhere because you're putting a limited amount of money that's gonna appreciate over time, but it's not gonna appreciate and compound into enough money that can actually leave you being considered wealthy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Do you have any things that you wish you told your younger self?
Definitely. I would say the number one thing is just measure twice, cut once. So pretty much what that means is just make sure I really think through things before I act. Some examples I have to think right away is when I crashed my car. I was driving you home because I just like I was listening to music. I wasn't really even like paying attention. I wasn't
We were
really
kind of having fun.
yeah. I wasn't really being present at all. I wasn't thinking about how fast I was going. I wasn't thinking about potential consequences. And I ended up just like doing something without even fucking thinking. Like I just like turned into a fucking fire hydrant. Like without even like it was just stupid. Like and I just
It's good that you're owning up to it and that you have the vulnerability to say it on a podcast like this.
well right after I actually did that, I actually like right after I got home after like totaling my car, I actually wrote in my journal. I wish I could find it, but where like just saying in general it was an issue I had to where I would always just do things without thinking, and like I made sure to like keep that like really like very important in my life, and that kind of cascaded into me wanting to even meditate even more and holding more accountable with my meditation. Because the only reason that I wasn't thinking more before I acted was because my brain was in another place. I was thinking about other things, like I was listening to music, like singing the songs in my head, not really focusing on reacting to the present. And overall, I think it's just something that's helped me a lot. It can also be said when we used to trade, and when I used to trade, if I just look at something and just did my first initial impulse to enter a trade, most like most likely I'll lose money.
Yeah.
So that's why I really have to make sure I measure twice, think through the decision I'm about to make sure it falls in line with my plan, and then I execute.
Yeah. No, you said fall in line with your plan, and I think one of the things that a lot of people kind of have trouble with is that they do this stuff that don't fall in their plan, or they go after something that doesn't fall in their plan, and this comes with setting goals and priorities. And so that's one of the other things that I wish I had told my younger self was to how to set goals and how to set your priorities, and that you don't get to your goals by just kind of putting it in the ether, right? You have to actually do the action. So make the actions those goals and measure yourself on how successful you are on if you completed the actions that it take to get to those goals or not. Because like being worth 100 what like or like let's for example um what's like so like getting an NBA championship. Yeah, that's somewhat in your control, but it's not 100% in your control. But the actions that it takes to that would that you can do are in your control. That it would take to get to that goal are in your control. So only measure yourself on the only things that you can control, and kind of just hope for the best. But that's the way that I've found to kind of become more successful in the goals that I'm trying to, or the life that I'm trying to get.
You can even like make it even go down even like smaller. Like you can control if you make it to the NBA championship. but what can you control in the game?
Yeah, exactly.
You can control how hard you play in defense. You can control how you game plan. You can control how many shots you take. You can control the passes you make. You can't necessarily control if the shots are going to go in. You can't necessarily control how the defense is going to
Or
react,
how the refs are going to
how the
react.
refs are going to react.
Yeah.
You cannot control any of the outside forces.
Yeah, and that's why I also love this quote from Epictetus that yeah, I'm going to butcher this super hard, but it goes something like, "You are your only witness, and so do it for you,"
Yeah.
type of stuff. And so I think that goes hand in hand with that. You only know if you could have pushed harder or not, and you should be the only person that you need to prove yourself to.
That's actually kind of funny because that one of my things I have here were lessons I wish I could tell my younger self is just don't complain about things out of your control because that's what's just going to spark anxiety. That's going to spark you
exactly
being
it, yeah.
extremely stressed because you can't do anything about that. So just thinking about it is just going to make you all your focus divert towards things that are fucking already terrible.
Yeah.
So rather than complaining about your circumstances, putting the input, putting the work to most likely fix them, and only control on the things that you have control over.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Do you have any? Do you have another one?
Yeah, I do. So a big one I have is like don't make a fool of yourself for others' amusement. And
What's that called? Wait.
oh, it's called jester maxing.
Maxim.
Don't be a jester maxer. So what jester maxing means is pretty much just making. It's like pretty much when you're a fucking loser, and the only thing you can do to make yourself gain any sort of social capital is by making a fool of yourself and making other people laugh. I don't really do this anymore, but I've especially when I was in like sixth, seventh, eighth grade in middle school, I always just like be like goofy and like
Jester Max.
yeah, and just like be like stupid and like do stuff on purpose to where like
Clumsy on purpose type shit.
yeah, like do stuff like that, like just make a fool of myself just because other people found it funny. And it was probably because I just wasn't like in a good place. I was like, no, I wasn't sad, but like I probably just I didn't really feel good about myself. So that I felt like that was the only way where I could somehow like make people like happy, like make people like me.
Would you say it like wasn't authentic, right?
In some ways I think it was a little bit 50-50 because some things I actually did because I thought it was funny. And I was like, I don't really care. Like, if I make a fool of myself.
Yeah.
Like an example of this is like I was watching one of my Troy showed me this clip. Troy's a kid in my school. Showed me a clip of me streaming Fortnite when I was in like fifth grade, and I'm screaming the song like "Mine Diamonds,"
Oh, that's funny.
like ear blasting the mic,
Yeah.
and like not that it was like really embarrassing, but like I would want to be known for doing that and like being like an idiot. Like
You were kind of aware of like your personal brand.
yeah,
right?
I was like I kind of wanted my personal brand to be someone that was like funny and like and like quirky and like all in fucking like big into meme culture. That's why like I started like a meme page and stuff. But the whole thing was like I wish I just didn't do that. I wish I was just like more of myself and not trying to like just make stuff to make myself look stupid and make other people laugh.
Yeah, I think one big takeaway from that is that if any of you guys are in a sort of situation like Eddie was right now, where you kind of have a certain reputation that you don't like of yourself that other people think of you, is the solution that I've came to kind of realize is the best way to get out of something like that is to just visualize the person that you want to be, and then what does that person do, and just immediately change those behaviors and change those actions into the person that you want to become. And eventually, it might take a long time, but eventually your reputation will come back to where you want it to be because you actually do the actions that the person that you want to be does do. And so it's like be, do, have. If you do those actions, you become. And so people identify people like, let's say, Tom Brady. We identify him as a hard worker and an NFL player because, yeah, exactly. Because he did this shit that it took to do that. And so you just need to do the actions, and eventually it will catch up.
Yeah. Something else I want to talk about is like not saying going back to what I was saying, not saying you cannot be goofy, but just don't have being goofy be the only thing that you cling to for any sort of social respect or social like care, people caring about you, social capital. Like obviously be goofy with your friends, like have fun, but just don't sell your soul for friends. Don't sell your soul and your dignity to make connections.
Yeah.
All right, so now that I'm done there, Eamon, you have any other
Yeah.
lessons you wish you could tell
One
your
of
younger self?
yeah, one of the biggest things actually that I have noticed is that to start now, right? I always used to notice myself at least always pondering about something and just kind of never taking action towards it. And because I thought I was too busy or just making up all these different excuses in my mind where I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start this during the summer and it's winter right now, or whatever. But the reason you should start now is because now is actually the best time because let's if you were to start later when the circumstances are different, if the circumstances when you start then become say you started the circumstances because you weren't busy and then you start that certain thing and you start to become busy, you won't do it anymore because the circumstances change. So you have to start in the worst circumstances so that you know that you can do it in the worst circumstances and that when the circumstances do become better, it'll be easier for you too. So start now because now is the best time to start anything. And also, you'll be able to pay down your ignorance debt of gaining the knowledge that you need to become successful in a certain avenue that you're trying to pursue will be faster. So
Yeah,
start now.
I'm not trying to be super cynical, but like, uh, I would say with that, like having to make time for something has to be a goal that actually is very, 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 very like valuable to you. Because in order for you to pursue something now, when you feel like you already have no time, you're probably gonna have to cut out something else in order to make that like margin of time for you to pursue that. So it's gonna have to be something very important to you, to where you're willing to cut out something where you're already allocating your time. Of an example of me being able to start now and like work now and like kind of throwing some other shit out the window is when I was junior, I had an anatomy class, and it was always after you. It was always like in like a convenient time for some reason, and I felt like if I missed a class, I knew enough about anatomy where I can catch up. So I made the trade off, knowing that I had time where I could trade on my computer, and rather than going to class, I would skip it, go to the library, and I'd trade on my computer because I found that I was willing to do that. It was an it was an important trade off for me to make money and do something where I thought it benefited me more. And that's the exact same thing as finding time slots in your life where you're either wasting time or doing other things, which you want to replace with a more valuable task that's more important to your goals, more important to your mission, etc. But do you have any other things that you wish you could tell your younger self? Oh, wait, let's do. Do you have any pivotal moments in your life that made a shift for you?
The when I started my trading process
Yeah.
or just like kind of my entrepreneurial process, right? I kind of came into it thinking that my goal was to be a millionaire, right? But I kind of came into it thinking that I had to earn my way towards being a millionaire, meaning like if I worked this many hours for this pay, like what, $15 an hour, right? I'd have to work 30 years, blah, 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 what, etc. And so that's like kind of what my thought process behind it was. And so I was kind of just hustling, right? And then one day I made a fuck ton of money and I was like, off trading. And I was like, holy shit, like, or what I noticed was kind of the basis of leverage, meaning, um, um, like my input versus my output where there's certain things that I can go down, like certain places or avenues that I can go down or opportunities that I can take on that have a lot more leverage than others, where if I put X amount of time into one opportunity, I might get a tiny bit out, but if I put the same amount of time into another opportunity, I might get tenfold more out of it just because of the it having more leverage.
Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of leverage through trading where I could put in, let's just say I researched a stock for a day or whatever, right? And then I invested in it, and the next day it went up 20%, and I made a lot of money. That's a lot of leverage because I put 1 hour and made what, like $2,000. And so $2,000 an hour is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so and I made $2,000 instead of working a 9 to 5 job, or like, I mean, that's cliche, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Where I'm making
It
$15 an hour.
shifted your paradigm to how money can be made, and kind of took you from thinking, oh, I need to work X amount of years, making $15 an hour, to I can do this if I become very skilled at this, put this much time in and put this much effort in, then I can make money this way.
And I can make a lot more money
A lot more
also.
money
Yeah.
with a lot less time,
Yeah.
but more effort.
Obviously more effort, but you can put the same amount of effort in certain opportunities that will get you a lot more in return. It's just a matter of finding those opportunities. And
You can consider
obviously that's a skill, is finding those opportunities, but that's just kind of one of the breakthroughs that I had, was finding what kind of, or that breakthrough of like leverage.
I think the big thing is with like a minimum wage job is that you can't use effort as like a multiplier to your output.
Yeah.
No matter how hard you work on your not on your like minimum wage job
Or your skills or whatever.
or skills, you're gonna end up like
You're only paying
you're
the
a
same
bagger at a
as-
market basket. You work really hard being a bagger, you're gonna get paid the same as the person that's not even giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe like an extra dollar, extra 25 cents an hour. It doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah. Not at all.
But on your journey as an entrepreneur and the journey of growing up something like the podcast,
Like hold on, sorry. The podcast is a perfect example. We put in 1 hour or 2 hours, counting in editing, into one podcast,
Yeah.
and right now it might not seem that we're getting as much input and output, but in the future, from all the volume that we put in, right, that 1 hour will turn into hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of leverage.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's really cool. Like a YouTube video, like Mr. Beast puts so much effort into his YouTube videos, and he posts it once, like the Squid Games video.
Yep.
Put a lot of resources and effort into that. So have that almost be like his multiplier for the amount of output he gets.
Yeah.
He posts on the internet. I think the video has like over 1 billion views.
Yeah.
One of the most viewed videos ever, and it paid dividends. He did absolutely fantastic. So when you're being an entrepreneur, depending on how much work you put in, that's going to multiply how much things you get out.
yeah,
And I think that's very cool.
yeah.
So for me, a key moment that kind of like defines like almost like me like growing up, or like a key like paradigm shift, is when I sold my Xbox Series X for like $700 in order to invest in XRP, which is a cryptocurrency. Not because like it's not even that deep. It just kind of shows that I was growing up. I understood that like maybe having a super console isn't that important to me when I can invest in my future and invest in something that can help me make more money and like hopefully allow me to educate. Because I would say me investing in XRP opened the door to me ending up trading crypto and becoming more interested in like NFTs, Web3, etc.
Yeah.
So I think that was just a key shift for me being a kid to me almost wanting to become an adult. I think that's pretty cool.
And so how do you think like you made that shift? Like what was like the process, or what happened there where you kind of made that shift? Or do you think it was just like you maturing? You know what I mean?
It was probably a mix of a few things. Definitely me maturing. Definitely like the change of like the content I was kind of seeing on the internet about like, oh, like how big crypto is going to be, blah blah blah. I was kind of starting to lose.
Yeah, but what's the difference between you and all the other kids, right?
Yeah, I think I just I was getting to the gym. I was getting to things that kind of took me away from playing video games. So I had this super expensive console that I saw at the time. This one, the Xbox Series X, was very limited.
Yeah.
I saw that I could capitalize on selling it right then and there. And so I did sell it because I understood I'm not going to be playing on it that much, and I'm getting a very good return, that being even more money than the retail price. And I believe that if I just keep playing my Xbox, I'm not going to get anything. The things that depreciate, I definitely didn't even know what the word depreciate meant then.
Right.
But the Xboxes get depreciate in time. When I could get money for the Xbox, put it into something and have that appreciate so I can get more out of it in the future.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting on just like the current fun.
Yeah. Opportunity cost.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if that was before or after I learned about. I think it was before I learned about microeconomics. So I didn't even know what opportunity cost was, but that would have been a great example of opportunity cost.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And I think when I was first learning about opportunity cost, I definitely thought about that.
Yeah, that's another great example of like something I wish I knew when I was younger was opportunity cost. The kind of um, if I'm taking on this opportunity, what's the cost of me not taking on another opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm playing video games instead of doing my schoolwork, what's the return on investment on that, right? Or what's the return on investment of me going to baseball practice for 5 hours a day, right? And not focusing on my business, right?
Yeah.
And for me that was a lot, and so I kind of that was another big breakthrough of learning what opportunity cost actually is, and kind of then learning also how to prioritize, right, and putting my attention towards the one thing that mattered most to me, which was kind of expediting my future or impressing the future version of myself faster, right?
Yeah, and I think it's cool, the cool thing about opportunity cost is that even if you don't even know what opportunity cost is, you're still making those decisions in your brain subconsciously.
Oh yeah.
Like if I do this, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I think opportunity cost kind of gives it like a tangible like thought that can allow you to make those decisions with so much more efficiency.
Yeah, definitely. So that's another big thing that I didn't even write that down.
What?
Opportunity cost. I just
Yeah.
thought of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, I have a few more things, but I think we kind of touched on them a lot. I mean, another one is just take accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Kind of, yeah, self-explanatory.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Just everything that happens to me is a product of pretty much what I've done, where I put my attention.
Mm.
So there's no need for me to be a bitch and bitch about my circumstances because it's all my fault,
Yeah. Yeah.
the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah.
Please hit that like button, and if you made it to the end of the video, and we'll probably click the link in the bio. Use code Rogue15 for Sport Sleep Tape.
Sport sleep tape.
Get the best sleep of your life. Become a nasal breather. Don't be a mouth breather. You'll become your jaw will recede. But most importantly than the physical aspects, Sport Sleep Tape also increases your sleep quality, your blood oxygen levels, CO2 tolerance, and will allow you to sleep deeper, longer, and better. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.